Hey guys, welcome back to another Q&A. It is January 6th, 2023. So it's our first one of 2023. I will get the questions pulled up. So I have a nice mixture here. I did this one a little different. I put it in my IG story. I think different people see the stories versus the actual posts. So I figured we would give this a try. First one, someone asked, can you film a back workout in the barn gym one day? I don't know if I have a full back workout, but I mean, I definitely have a lot of back training in there. If you just look back a ways, I have some explanation videos. I have some like raw training footage videos. I mean, there's definitely a lot of back training in there. Just look around. One thing is I tend to, at least right now, and I have lately, is I tend to have multiple body parts in one day, so in higher frequency, and I train back higher frequency, so it's like sprinkled in with other stuff. So it would be kind of difficult to film like a straight back workout because I don't really have that. There's definitely a lot of back training in there. All right, next one. Target RHR, is there a good or better range? Target RHR, resting heart rate is what they're asking. Is there a best range? Not really. So there's a lot of things that will impact RHR. So in general, like what kind of shape are you in? How big are you? All these things. Like a really, let me give you an example. A really big person that is really out of shape, probably gonna have a higher resting heart rate. Someone that's done a whole prep and is lean and light, probably gonna have a lower resting heart rate, even though they might not be healthier per se. They're more cardio adapted, if you will, and they're gonna have a lower resting heart rate. They've been doing more cardiovascular activity, so they're kind of trained in that manner. That's a tricky question to answer, but here's what I generally tell people is it's a tool to use to see, you know, how things are kind of going up and down. So like if I intake a new client and I'm using resting heart rate, and I do use it, not with everyone, but often, I would say, then I'm looking at the whole scope of how they're recovering, what kind of shape their nervous system is in, adrenals, hormones, all of these things. And then I know what their starting resting heart rate is. So let's say it's like 70, we'll make it higher. Let's say it's 80. And their body's very taxed, right? I know as they're recovering, I should be seeing that resting heart rate probably go down a little bit as that sympathetic drive and sympathetic tone kind of comes down. So that's what I'm looking for. On the flip side of that, if their adrenals are smashed and they're not, that's, you know, regulating their resting heart rate, then I would probably want to see that resting heart rate go up. If it's like a 50 normally or something, or like a 40, depends. But my point is I'm using it to see improvement up or down depending on the context, not so much like it has to be a 70 or a 65 or whatever. Now, if it's 110 resting, yeah, probably not good. But a good resting heart rate could be probably anywhere between like 75 and 55 maybe. I don't know. I mean, it could be in a range for sure. When would you incorporate oral BPC 157 when looking to aid in GI health? I don't really use it that much. I've used it. I haven't seen a whole lot from it, to be completely honest. The efficacy orally, it says, based on what information we have and what research we have, it's supposed to be pretty good. But I really, truthfully, don't use it that much. I think maybe in terms of like intestinal permeability and GI lining permeability, it could be useful, potentially, healing that. But again, I don't really use it. That probably answers your question. But yeah, I mean, the efficacy is supposed to be good. I mean, there's some research to support that. And it is a gastrointestinal peptide. So in theory, yeah, should work. But it's not what I would go to first, honestly. Effects of antihistamines on training, adaptation, recovery benefits. Histamine important for physique. Is it? Histamine has a lot of functions, but if we're looking at it from a physique standpoint, there's probably a couple main things that we would want to keep in mind. One, you're asking about training physique. Okay, so histamine is involved in muscle contraction, and it is an excitatory neurotransmitter. That's kind of how it's classified. So we wouldn't want to smash histamine down to nothing. Generally, that's not a problem with people. Generally, we're dealing with high histamine, a lot of people. So taking an antihistamine could, I guess in theory, if you have so much histamine that taking it may serve some benefit, but that's not really how I would go about it. I mean, I don't really suggest taking antihistamines. I mean, if you have too much histamine, you're having a histamine-like reaction on your skin or something that looks like an allergic reaction, perhaps, then we address that at its root, which is normally like gastrointestinal, but I wouldn't take antihistamine for that. And there are different classes of antihistamines that work on different receptors, H1, H2, things like that, but that's not what I would do. So I would look to balance it. If there's too much of a reaction because of some gastrointestinal issue or something, then yes, it's not something that you want to like suppress to zero. So yeah, it does have some involvement in your physique progress, I guess you could say, at least indirectly, especially with your training and your sleep, and your overall mood throughout the day. So yeah, I would say that it's involved, if you will. What is the best testosterone booster? Okay, stress reduction, sleep. I mean, really, if you're looking at endogenous testosterone production, that's kind of what you're, reducing total systemic stress is kind of what you're going to be wanting to do to increase that production. Now, as far as over-the-counter, so a lot of you know that I'm affiliated with Morphogen. So you may think I'm just pimping the product, but Morphotest does have a lot of anecdotal evidence and studies behind it. I have seen it raise testosterone levels relatively significantly. Now, is it going to take you from a subclinical hypogonadism, if you're at 100 nanograms for a male, is it going to take you up to 900? Nope. But some of the ingredients like the bulbine, fenugreek, I know those two specifically will help raise signaling, so like LH signaling, for example. The second component of that, like over-the-counter testosterone boosting, is generally going to be lowering SHBG, so like adding the boron, having boron in the product, lowering SHBG and freeing up more free testosterone. So that's kind of how like an over-the-counter testosterone product is generally going to work. More signaling, more free bioavailability. That product works pretty well. But again, like realistic expectations of what you're going to get. Nice thing is you don't need to cycle it or anything. You can just stay on it. So yeah, I definitely use that for people that are kind of like on that cusp of subclinical, don't think they might need TRT, they're not enhanced, all these things. So that would be a good consideration. I think that's it for today, guys. I appreciate all the questions and talk to you guys next time.